Well, since the last video, I've gone ahead and done a little more painting up here on the front in the tire wells. I added a little more dirt in the back here. But one thing I realized is that the grill here is very clean. If I'm going to have all this dirt on the front here, the grill needs some dirt as well. And I was clicking and dragging over the grill, but we're not getting anything there. So what I realized is if we scroll back down to the vehicle group right here, I've put the dirt on top of that vehicle group, and therefore whatever we paint will go on top of these colors. However, the grill is right up here. So what I can do is just take this dirt layer and just drag it right up on top of the grill. And there we go. There's the dirt on the grill. So I had been painting over that the whole time. It's just that we couldn't see it because the grill was on top of the dirt. All right, so we've got that taken care of. I think we're ready to begin exporting our textures out. So first of all, what we need to do is just come up here and go to File, Export Textures. And in here, we can configure the export settings for our textures. Now, first of all, we've had this glass texture set turned off the whole time, but it's on here, and we don't need this on. If we twirl this down, you can see all of the texture maps that could be exported out with this. We don't need that, so I'm just going to turn that off here. Now you can see in there that there are a lot of texture maps that are going to be exported out if we leave it in this configuration. And I don't think we want this particular document channel normal AO configuration. There is a configuration down here for Unity, right down here, Unity 5 Standard Metallic. And I think that's what we want. And there are different configurations for all kinds of systems, game engines. We've got Amazon Lumberyard, we've got CryEngine, we've got Keyshot, we've got Unreal. So there are all kinds of configurations that we might want to choose depending on our project. But for this, since we're going to be going into Unity, let's choose this Unity 5 Standard Metallic. All right, and when we do that, if we twirl this down, we see it changes the type and number of textures that we're going to output. Now, we never created a texture that had a glow to it, a shining light or something like that. So the emission isn't going to be used here. But now we also need to think about what size of the textures we're going to need to export. And as I said, I usually create everything at 4K just because it gives you more resolution to work with here in Substance Painter. But your project requirements will probably require another size. So I'm going to say that in this project, what we need is the vehicle to instead be at 4K. I'm going to pull this down and choose 2K, 2048. Now, if the vehicle is at 2048, the gun is quite a bit smaller, so we may be able to get away with having it at 1K or 1024. Same with the spare tire. We could probably have that be 1K, and the tire, we could make it 1024 as well. Now the wheel is even smaller than the tire and the spare tire, so maybe the wheel could go down to 512. We could try that. Now, these smaller texture sizes may not give us as much resolution as we need, and we can always come back here and re-export if we think that this isn't the proper resolution for our project. But at least for now, let's go ahead and go with 2K and 1K and 512 for the wheel. Now let's go over here into configuration. In here, we can see Unity 5 Standard Metallic here as well. So let's choose this. And I wanted to show you this. Now, let me go back to just another configuration because I usually use Unity 5 Standard Metallic in the work I do. And because of that, I've got these set up just the way I want them. Let me show you another one like this Amazon Lumberyard. So it's got this $ mesh underscore here, whereas you can see the Unity 5 does not. And that's because I've removed that. I've taken out that $mesh underscore from the texture names here. And what that is, let me just, I'm going to grab this and copy it. Let's just do that so we can see what it is. And I'm going to press Control V and paste that in. So what this will do is it will give us, there we go. This will give us, for each of our textures, this will give us the name of the mesh. And if you recall, when we last imported our object in, we called it vehicle color ID, right? So what this will say is it will say vehicle color ID underscore maybe gun or tire underscore albedo transparency. Okay, so that's what it will say when we export the file. And I think having a mesh name on can be a little confusing. So actually, let me go ahead and we don't have the mesh name here. Let me click off of this and go back to Unity 5 Standard Metallic. And this is what we're going to see. So we're going to see vehicle color ID underscore gun underscore albedo. And that to me is a little too much. I just want to have it be the name of the texture set and the specific texture map that it's going to be. So let me go back to configuration, make sure that Unity 5 Standard Metallic is selected, and then I'm just going to delete these here. And you can configure these however you want, but I just find it's a lot more convenient to have just the texture set and texture map name. Okay, so now that we have that, let me go back to export, and you can see nothing has changed here, so I'm going to just click on something else and then go back, and there it is. All right, so now we have all of these the way we want them, texture set name and texture type. And keep in mind that these texture set names come from the materials that we created in Blender. So when we bring our exported model from Blender into Unity, it's going to see those materials and have the same name. Okay, so now we've done this to get the name configurations the way we want, the texture sizes the way we want, the proper configuration here. Now we need to find a place to put it. So let's click up here and let's go to our exports folder. Here we are. Let's go ahead and choose select folder. And so we're going to go into that exports folder that we've created for the project. All right, I think we are ready to go. Let's come down here and click export. All right, the export has finished. Let's go ahead and click OK. And there we go. Now, you can see down here that it says the map wheel emission can't be generated for the texture wheel, and we probably got one of those for every one of them, yeah. And that's because we didn't create an emission texture because, as I said, we didn't have any shining or glowing lights in our scene here. Now, if we go to our folder where we created all of this, let's do that. Here we go. Let me click type to sort by type here, and now you can see we've got gun albedo, gun metallic, gun normal. Now we've got spare tire, 3 of those, tire, vehicle, and wheel, right? All albedo, metallic, and normal maps. And if we opened up this vehicle here, you can see there's our texture map. All right, so we've exported all of the texture maps that I think we're going to need. In the next video, let's go back to Blender, make sure our model is real-world scale, and then export the model out once again in the proper configuration for going into Unity.